And Christian, I think we've got you quite a poignant moment, because breaking team news this morning, Sergio Perez has now left you. Yep. Okay, we might get into that. And in comes Liam Lawson. What happened to Perez? What happens in a situation like that? I mean, in football terms, so-and-so has been sacked. Russell Martin's been sacked at Southampton. Gary O'Neill's lost his job at Wolves. Is he sacked?
No, it's a little different to that. I mean, Sergio's been with us for 4 years, and the first 3 years he played a huge role in the team, and certainly in that first Drivers' World Championship. You've only got to think back to Abu Dhabi 21, the role that he played for the team on that day. Constructors Champions in 22, 23. He was second in the World Championship in the Drivers last year. He's just had a really tough year this year, and we sat down last week. We'd obviously been talking about it a little bit beforehand, and decided that it was right for both of us just to step back, for him to step out of the car, take a bit of time with his family, work out what he wants to do. He's still going to be involved with the team. He'll be doing a couple of show runs with us during next year, but it was right for him, because it wasn't enjoyable for him either, getting all this scrutiny and pressure and expectation every weekend.
But he'd signed a new contract in June last year.
He had signed a new contract, but of course in those contracts
for 2 years
there are, I'm not going to go into the details of the contract, but inevitably there are stipulations that there are obligations between the team and the drivers. So anyway, we sat down and we talked it through, and at that point in time it's about relationships, and we've always had a great relationship with Sergio.
I see. But did he come up short in terms of performance?
I think
you guys demand the best.
By his own admission, I mean, he was 280 points behind his teammate this year. We lost the Constructors' Championship by just over 70 points. So he knew that by his own high standards, it wasn't achieving what he wanted or what we needed as a team. So we just had a grown-up discussion about it, and he's a great guy, and he'll go away, work out what he wants to do. Maybe he'll want to come back to the sport in maybe next year even.
A grown-up discussion. That's the sort of thing that you would say, that when something comes to an impasse, you have to have a grown-up discussion.
I was going to ask Christian, is it difficult to keep a lid on drivers and their outbursts and their expectations and their way that they public face? Having owned a football club, I watch players, and sometimes watching them talk about things and thinking, well, there's a party line here. There's a way to operate. There's a way to speak. And these sportsmen have now become economic islands in their own right, because they're financially so well remunerated. For you as a team principal, is it difficult to keep them in line with the central messaging when they see things that they're not happy with? The car might not be where they want it to be. A particular event in a Grand Prix might not have gone the way they wanted to do. Is that a challenge for you guys?
Well, of course, to a degree. I mean, our sport is a little bit different because it isn't so open to the media. The drivers are talking before they get in the car on the grid. Yeah. Everything that they say when they're in the car, the emotions that they're going through in the car, they as soon as they open that radio, it's broadcast to billions of people. I'm sure that football players are making comments on the field that perhaps they wouldn't want, broadcast. The cameras don't end up in the changing rooms or at halftime, talks with a coach or the manager. And in our industry, part of the benefit is that access, but part of the downside is that these guys, they're not robots, and of course emotions are running high, and the first thing they do when they take a crash helmet off, they've got a microphone stuffed under their nose, and so of course occasionally emotion boils over. That's only natural.
Can you win? I mean, I had this conversation with AP McCoy about horse racing. Can you win a world championship by being a really good driver but having an average car?
I think you've always got to have the combination of both. It's Formula One's the biggest team sport in the world, and of course the driver is a key element. But within the team, there's approximately 1,000 people that are all having to do their job and their role, and so it's a combination of factors. But the driver is your biggest variable, and for sure, for sure. And so a driver like Max is just able to extract that much more, from the car, from the performance, and with the level of experience he has now, he reads a race so well. He's often commenting to us about what's going on in the race because he's seeing it on the big screen as he's driving around. He'll ask what happened in the pit stop with Hamilton. Yeah. And you think, well, how the hell did he see that? Because he's 25 seconds behind him, and he's seen it on the screen. So the spare capacity that he has whilst driving, that's what's truly impressive.
Right. Christian, you're chief exec of Red Bull, so you're one of the main men, top boss. Sergio Perez gone, in comes Liam Lawson.
Yeah.
Do you have the final say? Yeah, let's go for Liam. Or how does it work?
Well, look, there's a process. We all have shareholders. So of course you make a recommendation, and the shareholders have always been tremendously supportive and back that. So Liam's a product of our junior team. He's a young talent that we took on 6 years ago and have nurtured him through the lower formula, and
an academy player.
He's exactly, and as we did with Sebastian Vettel, as we have done with Max. And I think that we're seeing in him a character and a robustness to deal with the pressure of being Max's teammate. He's only done 11 Grand Prix, but what he's shown in those 11 Grand Prix has impressed us, the engineering staff, and of course the scrutiny that he will be under as Max's teammate. So
what you're looking for in Liam is somebody that's going to, if you like, complement, not verbally, but you know what I'm going with it, compliment someone like Verstappen, who is the big name.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you liken it to football, you can't have two centre forwards. You've got to have have strength and depth in your team, and I think that Liam, with the experience that he has in coming into the team, is there to provide that strength and depth.
Sure.
In what we need from an engineering perspective, from a tactical perspective, because it's going to be tight next year. You've got Ferrari that'll have Hamilton and Leclerc, two very strong drivers. You've got Norris and Oscar Piastri in McLaren.
These must be buggers of relationships to manage, though, aren't they? Because you've got two drivers that are competing to be the number one. You've got one that starts as number one, someone coming up behind them. You've got personalities amongst them. In a football team, you've got people that know they're going to get games. They know they're going to be rotated. They know they're going to play in different times, at different opportunities, and create opportunities for themselves. In your sport, you've got two alpha males competing for one real predominant spot. That must be quite a difficult relationship and dynamic to manage, and hoping that they actually get on with one another, and perhaps they've got to sacrifice things for one another to be able to achieve outcomes for the team.
I think that there's contradicting aspects with that, because on the one hand you've got the team and the drivers are contractors to the team.
Yeah.
On the other side you've got the Drivers' Championship, where the interest and the individual interest. Now we're perhaps slightly different to other teams, where we go, do you know what? And it's about communication, being upfront with the drivers. Max Verstappen is the most valuable asset in Formula 1. He's our lead driver.
Yeah. He goes first.
If you can get close to him, fantastic. But the reality is the expectation is for Max to win.
Yeah.
A team like Ferrari, for example, next year are going to have two drivers that are going to be taking points off each other. And which horse do you back? You have to back both of them, but that sometimes becomes divisive within a team. So different teams have different approaches to how they go racing.
It's fascinating. So many messages coming in. We have a whole load of F1 enthusiasts listening to you this morning. Here's a cheeky one. Verstappen, his fourth title? No, it's only 3 because Lewis got robbed. Many messages coming in, but many very complimentary messages about the ability of Max Verstappen. Complimentary about you as well. Christian Horner is with us. Stay with us. Mr. Horner, of course, CBE.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.